Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Brownsville, Pennsylvania, in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. This town has an absolutely fascinating history and one of the most unique stories that I've heard from any small town before. And so I wanted to come up here and explore it a little bit, see it for myself, bring you guys along to check it out. So this town was established in 1815 and first operated as a major steamboat building location, as well as a stopping point for travelers who were traveling west as part of the western expansion in the United States. The inclusion of a railroad being built through town here in 1815 also contributed to the increased economic state of the area. However, that momentum eventually petered out and the area went into what we'll call its first economic decline towards the end of the 20th century. And that was reversed with the discovery of coal around the turn of the 20th century in the hills surrounding the town here. And so this town and the coal mines and the hills around it became a critical driver to the success of the steel industry in Pittsburgh. However, as with most other towns in the Rust Belt portion of the U.S., post-World War II, this area went into its second economic decline in its history as the demand for steel and other similar resources began to decline. And so as people moved out of town in search of new employment, businesses and stores and shops began to close as well. And so that lasted until the 1990s, which is when the story of this town really gets crazy. And so in the 1990s, a salesman came to town named Ernest Leggett with a lot of money and a lot of big plans and ideas for how he was going to help revitalize the area. And so over time, he won over the majority of the townspeople. And so he ended up buying up something like 90 to 95% of all of the buildings in the town. Some of them for as little as $1. But he had plans to do things like turn this area, for example, this riverfront area, into a giant recreational spot with a wharf, with boat slips, riverboat gambling, and all of that, and basically turn this into a riverwalk area, if you will. He also promised to revitalize the downtown, bring back recreation, and so catching the people of the town here during arguably not their best time. And here's actually the railroad that we're walking under now that I mentioned came to town in the 1850s. But basically catching people at a time when things were not great in town here and promising to revitalize everything, I'm sure probably was not a hard sell. But what really makes things interesting is nothing ever happened. So he created, almost artificially or forcibly, turned Brownsville into a ghost town. And the city government and its people couldn't get ownership back of the buildings because he would pay enough taxes, he would show up enough and fight in court enough when it mattered to maintain ownership, but would do nothing else. And so for nearly 30 years, this area sat in complete and total disrepair, being held hostage by this mystery investor. And so finally, around sometime in the 2010s, the teens, the county, with help from a state grant, was able to finally repossess all of the Leggett-owned buildings through eminent domain. And so over the last couple of years, the city has been doing their best to revitalize the place, to try to undo some of the damage caused by the Leggetts. For example, up until a few years ago, this area here was not open. It was abandoned storefronts the entire way across here. And so part of the thing that they've been able to do is tear down these buildings here, put up this park, which I believe is called the Hope Park. Another area here, I believe this is senior living, some sort of senior living establishment. But that used to be an old original building that has since been torn down. But with not a lot of economic momentum and only 2,000 people in town, there's not a lot the city can do, or at least not a lot they can do quickly. So if we see here, that's where we just were. If we start walking up the street here, you immediately see the impact of the old ghost town things with this, this series of abandoned buildings. You have this amazing abandoned bank, these various storefronts. I believe that's an old hotel. I think this might be the old train station, if I'm not mistaken, but you have a second bank. So it's funny, it's called the Monongahela National Bank, and then the second national bank abandoned here as well. Yeah, so this would be the old train station. How spooky is this? Minus the thumping music. And I believe in this building here, which is the Flatiron Building, the Historic Society exists. I'm venturing to guess they're not open now. They are open. All right, so I'm gonna have to come back in and talk to them a little bit. And look how incredibly cool this church is. You can just crawl in right there on the first window. There's no trespassing sign, there's nothing. Like, you see that sign back there said that place was donated in 2001. I don't know if that means it was donated to the city or what, but that's right around the time that the Leggetts were kind of mid to post buying spree, right in the middle of their planning. So I don't know if that was donated with the understanding that it would be part of the revitalization or what, but we continue here. Abandoned. Same way with these two here. So one of the really interesting things about this town is it actually has the third oldest castle in the United States. It was originally the cabin for the person who built the trading outpost here as part of the Western expansion. And over time, his descendants turned it into a castle. So it's actually right up here. We're going to check out in a sec. But yes, this is the Nemacolin? Someone will have to correct me. Don't know how to pronounce it. Castle that is on the original cabin location for the person who established the trading outpost here in Brownsville. But it's at the top of the hill. You can see down into Brownsville. From up here. Fun fact, I have since learned that the oldest castle in the United States is actually right outside the town of Surrey, Virginia. If that means anything to you. If it doesn't, maybe check out the video. I'll link right up here. Alright, so this is that old church. Wow, it is freezing. Freezing in there. So what finally drew me to this place was actually the result of my Yellow Dog Village video. I was talking to a couple of people there who do this sort of exploring as well, talking to them about their favorite locations that they've explored. Look how absolutely cool this is. Someone's tried to pry the door open. Oh, I haven't broken through there. But anyways, we make our way back down to check out the other side of downtown. I was talking to one of the people at the Yellow Dog Village, asked them what their favorite exploration location is, or has been, in their various travels, and they mentioned Brownsville. I've actually known about this town since before I started this channel as someplace I wanted to check out, but it was specifically the old abandoned hospital on the other side of town. But he was talking about the actual town itself. And so at that point, I realized there was probably something that I was missing in terms of the history of this place. So started doing some research, very quickly discovered the story that we mentioned earlier about the Legates, about this town being held hostage and essentially forcibly turned into a ghost town. And I just had never heard of anything like that before. And so I knew at that point it was only a matter of time before I made my way back up here. Not really back up here, but made my way up here to check it out. Oh, I think this is the one actually. I thought it was one of the other ones. This is the one that's turned into apartments. I'm pretty sure. Now I remember that now. So actually, this is one of the abandoned buildings that has since been updated, I guess, if you will. Attempted improvements have been made by the city. Actually, let's go walk up here. And so the city's big push now is actually tourism. And tourism from the perspective of embracing its history, including the weird Leggett ghost town phase that it went through, but also just encouraging people to come and check out the history in general of the place. There are, I believe, 6 buildings that are on the National Registry for being historically significant. It's got the 3rd oldest castle. It's got the first cast iron bridge. From what I was reading and hearing in various interviews, it actually seems like the city was interestingly like semi-supportive of urban explorers who came to check out the area and explore the different buildings. They didn't really like the idea of people going into the buildings because what if somebody gets hurt? What does that mean from a liability standpoint? But they also realized that by encouraging those people, or at least not actively trying to keep them out, it brought in revenue. It brought sort of a bit of economic stimulation to the area. There was this sort of interesting dichotomy that the city was having to deal with, which was, we don't really like the idea of random people coming and exploring old buildings, these old abandoned buildings, and the potential liability that that could bring if someone gets hurt. But people are bringing attention to the town, to the town's history, and in the process they're patronizing the town. That's helpful in a way. But for a city that had its legs pulled out from under it when it was already down in the dumps, it's finding a way to work with what it has. See, like, I don't know who owns this. I don't know if that no trespassing private property sign is active or not. Oh, what is this old place? An old Eagles Lodge. This place is this town. Is there somebody up here? No. Okay. This town is filled with so many cool, old, abandoned buildings. And it's hard to know exactly what would have happened if Ernest Leggett had not come into town. Who knows what a business like that was at one point. But I believe there's a restaurant right around the corner here that I was going to try to check out. Are they just not open today? Monday, Sunday to 2. Ow. Well, it's before 2 o'clock. Well, I was hoping to grab something in there, but I guess not. But back to this painting here. Is that a mural? I don't know. It says population of 5,200, which is somewhere in between its max of 10,000 and where it sits now at about 2,000. So that was probably pure guesstimate sometime in the 70s, 80s maybe earlier. And that dance studio looks active, but right next to this abandoned old furniture store and whatever that was next to it. Hop in the car, drive up the hill, go to the other part of town on the other side of the kind of the main road here, and check out the area where the old hospital was. I think there are a few abandoned buildings up there as well. So I will see you in a minute. Alright, so now we are up on the other side of Route 40, which essentially runs straight through the center of town. I just wanted to touch really quick on this, which is the location of the former abandoned Brownsville hospital / nursing home, and then I believe an adjacent nursing school, my understanding. But this is actually how I first came to learn about Brownsville. I'd known and come across the abandoned Brownsville hospital as a place I would want to check out one day. Sounds like it was in way worse shape than I realized, so it's probably good I didn't. But yeah, I always kind of had in the back of my mind that this would be a place I eventually want to get up to check out. And then, as seems to be happening a lot, I waited too long, and that was one of the places actually that the Legates bought. And so when the city reclaimed them a couple years ago, they did a structural analysis, figured out that it just wasn't worth saving, and demolished both of them. And so now they're just empty plots. I just noticed there are a lot of churches in this town. So you've got that right there. There's one here. No. 1, 2, 3. See that steeple up there? 4. And then this church right here, which is 5. And now I'm wondering if there's like a million churches down the hill too. But that's 5 churches all right in here. Why do you need that many churches? Oh, there's a 6th church. Unless that's the same one. That might be the same one. I don't know. Actually, it looks like it's something different. Is that 7? Hold on. Are there 7 churches in like a 3 square block area? So there you go. Another random thing to come and check out. 7 churches. Alright, back where we started. So I think we're going to call it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this little walkthrough of the town of Brownsville in Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. If you did, you know the drill. Like button, subscribe button, notifications, turn on that little bell, leave a comment. Any interaction helps the channel. And until next time, I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.